Welcome back, everybody. Scott Hagee, Pheasant Valley Winery, is my guest today. And Scott, before we were going to the break, I wanted to ask you about two things. Primarily the south slope, I guess, in the Hood River Valley, where your place is at, and the significance of that. But before we go to that, what did you guys have to do to actually take a conventional orchard, the land that's probably full of, the chemicals and things that you would use in a conventional orchard, and then convert that soil into something where you can grow organic grapes?
Well, first you find the biggest excavator that you can find to take out the trees. Pile them up, and 6-7 years ago when we did this, everyone was burning everything. So we had a pile of pear trees that you could probably see on the moon. Today they're chipping everything, which is a lot saner. Mm-hmm. It's a better process. But basically you just take out all the trees. You get a big excavator to take the trees out. You get a big cat with a disc on it and a ripper. You loosen up the soil, you disc it out, flatten it out, and then you plant it back to grapes. It's been an organic farm for 25 years, so the soil is starting to get back into shape.
Okay.
So it's a thing that there is still. I'm sure there's still bad stuff in it. DDT, you can still find the DDT in it, the stuff that they were using years ago.
Now, are you required to do like annual or monthly samples or anything of the soil so that it stays organic?
We have to farm it in a process that is organic. We can't use any synthetic chemicals in them, no herbicides. We have to do a lot of hand hoeing for our weeds. We grow crops on it. We don't disc it. We like to keep the carbon in it. We don't let the carbon out. Green manures, composts for our fertilizers. We don't hit it with a lot of high nitrogen fertilizers that tend to run off, get into the water source, down into the river, and pollute things. So,
right.
So it's a more sustainable situation.
Okay. Well, now the south face. What's the significance of that in the Hood River Valley?
South facing, there aren't a lot of south slopes in the Hood River Valley. The Hood River Valley runs north and south, so everything is basically east and west. Mm-hmm. The area that I'm in has a south slope, beneficial in many ways. It collects heat units. So what that means is that the warmer site that you have, the sooner that you'll ripen. The sooner that you ripen, say, grapes, for instance, you can do it before it starts to rain in the fall. Also, frost is very similar to water, and it'll run downhill. So a south-facing slope accumulates heat units during the day and gives them off at night. Okay. The frost hits those things and runs on downhill. So it's pretty frost-free.
Okay. So there's a big advantage right there.
Yeah, big advantage.
And now, being organic,
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the major challenges that you have to face on I guess, a daily basis?
Well, on a daily basis, it's a lot of monitoring for insects. You have to keep your nutrition in the soil up, so that's something that you have to do early in the spring or the year before, because it takes a long time for the compost or manures or green manures to break down to get to the plant. So it's an ongoing process. You can't just spray and kill the bugs. Most of our sprays are contact kills, so the pests don't develop an immunity to our chemicals.
Okay. Organic is obviously, we were kind of talking about this a little bit during the break, but it's almost like a buzzword. I mean, you hear it, you see it on labeling all over the place, and you had mentioned, well, actually, organic does kind of mean different things to different folks. For Pheasant Valley Winery and for you, what is organic?
Well, it's interesting, and it is a catchword. It gives you a little niche. There are people who are sensitive to chemicals who will buy our fruit or wines before they'll buy some other people's fruit or wines because they're sensitive to chemicals. We do make wine with no sulfites. Sulfite is an additive preservative in wine that helps it to stay for years and years. We've made Pinot Noir for 5 years now with no sulfites, and it's doing fine.
So would an organic wine then, I mean, you know how you always, fine wine, it's better with age. Is an organic wine is it not that the same? I mean, it's still...
An organic wine, organic wines can use sulfites. It's a little different form of sulfite than the conventional wines have to use.
Okay.
It's a little different molecular structure.
What is the process of, I mean, when is your season kind of start, and then what are you doing through that entire time until you your season's done?
Okay, our season starts in the spring with pruning, and so we'll go through and prune everything. After that, we have to tie the canes down onto the wire, wait for them to get 2 to 6 inches in length, and then start a spray. We start with sulfur sprays.
Okay.
And a light oil spray.
Does
and
that help it grow, like a fertilizer almost?
No, these are for mildew and fungicides.
Oh, okay.
So because that's probably the biggest problem with grapes.
Really?
Fungus, mildew. There aren't very many pests that attack grapes. It's a nice thing. So we start the sprays. They'll start to grow. We get them up into what they call a wind wire, because they'll grow 3 feet, 4 feet spurs. That's what the grape hangs off of. We get them up into the wind wire so the wind doesn't bang them around and knock them down. Every couple of weeks we have to go back with another spray. We use a lot of foliar feeds for our organic process, so you can fine-tune the plant as it's growing. If it needs a little nitrogen, that's fine. If it needs some zinc, if it needs some calcium, you can apply it as a foliar spray to the foliage. Soil and leaf samples on an annual basis that we send in, and they're tested. The organic community wants to know about the soil and leaf samples.
Mm-hmm. And then and unlike some harvests where you can actually, or some, I guess, forms of harvesting where they actually can do it mechanically.
Right.
That can't be done with grapes, can
Grapes
it?
can be harvested mechanically, but it has to be on a flat area, flat ground.
Okay, and yeah, I've seen your place. It's not very flat.
Yeah, very hilly, so you can't do it. Yep.
Yeah. So you get all those picked.
Get them all picked, take them down to the winery. We've got a really state-of-the-art winery. They're pressed. The white grapes are pressed with the stems on them. Juice flows down, and most of that stuff is done in stainless steel, white grapes. The red grapes are put into a fermenter with yeast, about 1.5 tons of grapes per fermenter, and it's punched down daily, 3 times a day, with the yeast in it. You roll the cap into the juice so that you get the color, you get the tannins, and then the yeast and the sugar combine and make alcohol.
Okay.
And so then when all that alcohol is made, then and you don't have any more sugar left, you can measure that. So, and then that's what it's called, a dry red wine, no sugar left into it. Then that's pressed off, and it goes into a barrel.
Okay, and then that's where you hear it's been
Oak.
aged, or
right?
Oak. Yeah. Okay.
Either French oak or American oak, depending on the grape.
Okay.
Most of the Pinot Noir goes into French oak. We'll put Zinfandel or Barbera into some American oak. Syrah goes into some American oak. Prices are extremely different. French oak costs us $1,300 a barrel. American oak maybe $800 a barrel.
Wow.
So
significant
quite a big difference.
Yeah. Well, again, we got to take another break here, and I want to talk to you, though, about, you guys have been doing this for about 6 years.
We just had our 6th-year anniversary.
Yeah, well, congratulations. But you guys have made some pretty big strides as far as awards, so I want to talk to you about that. So we'll be right back with more of Scott Hagee on Localite. Stay with us.